how does one study for finals in law school? I feel like that's a very elusive question, and I think I've asked myself that every finals session that I had during law school. But I think that the most important thing is to, like I've said before, find what works for you. If you're a chart kind of person and a very visual person, do that. If you are an auditory learner and all you want to do is listen to recorded lectures over and over again or Quimby videos, do that. And just don't let people try to sway you from what you know works for you. I know for myself, when I went from undergrad to law school, it was a little bit of a difficult transition because I mostly wrote papers in my undergrad degrees. I was either writing papers or doing like French quizzes. So that was not really in any way comparable to law school. Maybe the closest I got was like my political theory class. So for me, it was very difficult to kind of try to find what worked for me, but I kind of had to go back to the basics. I went back to how would I study for quizzes or tests in high school? How would I study for quizzes or tests in my 100 level courses or my courses that had a lot of quizzes or tests? Like, what were the things that helped me? And for me, that was flashcards and flowcharts. I could make an outline that had all of the information any day of the week, but that wasn't going to help me memorize the information and be able to apply the information that I was learning. What I would always do is I would outline throughout the semester. I wouldn't necessarily make sure that I was like rewording everything to what I needed or whatever. I just would make sure I had outlines of all the cases, all of the big points that we learned in class, and just do that throughout the semester. I would spend like Friday afternoons from like noon to 4 just getting caught up with that, or like Sunday evenings while I was watching TV or watching movies, because it was a little bit monotonous because you're just going over everything. But I would take that and I would either, for a class that I knew I needed an outline for because it wasn't a lot of like intricate details, I would just take that, refine it, and that would be what I studied from. But for other classes like torts or criminal law or civil procedure, criminal procedure, I made a flow chart of like, do you have X? No, then it can't be battery. Or do you have this? Yes, so it can be whatever. And I would just go down the list of like yes or no questions and then fill in where the case law would be in like parentheses. And that's how I would memorize for that. I know other people, like my boyfriend is in law school as well, and he is an auditory learner. Like, I tried to give him my flowcharts and he looked at me like I was insane. What works for him doesn't work for me, and what works for me doesn't work for him. And that's okay. You just have to really be able to trust yourself to recognize that. And so if you need to listen to all of your lectures recorded on 2 times speed over and over and over again to memorize and be able to apply the information, that's okay too. You just have to really figure out what works for you. However, with one little caveat, I do suggest reviewing your materials either by the week or by the month as you go through law school, because you're getting so much information that you're not going to be able to memorize it all unless you're just like a godsend. And then if you are, more power to you. Going over it as you go forward and piece by piece and then kind of piling on top is really going to be what helps you learn that material in the best way possible and help you remember it for test day. The test that I did the very best on is when I did that for a class. I went over it week by week, month by month, and then I either made my flowcharts or my flashcards or reviewed my outline if I needed to. And I didn't even if it was an open book, I wouldn't look at it that often unless I just really did not remember something. But those were the classes that I got A- or A's in, that I did really well in. I think that was what set me apart from the other classes that I just was like, I'm gonna be fine, or didn't review as hard throughout the semester. My last piece of advice on finals would be, if you have previous tests, exams, quizzes, whatever that your teacher might have given, even if it was like 4 years ago, I would do those in like a practice simulation test, because half of law school exams is just the nerves, like just being in a room full of 150 people all typing like maniacs on their computer. If you can do a practice exam, do that. Or sometimes I would use examples in explanation books or just other like on the market books to help me just kind of practice the act of writing an essay question, filling out multiple choice if it was a multiple choice or something like that. I guess this will be my final tip. But if you're really, really bothered by noises, your exam room is going to be so quiet and all you will hear is click-clacking on keyboards. So I highly, highly recommend going to like your school's library or wherever resources for students might be during finals and getting a pair of approved earplugs. I think that if I had not had earplugs, I would not have been able to focus on my exams at all. And I don't think that that is something that is talked about very often. It's just that like auditory aspect that really can get on your nerves. So if you're really bothered by a lot of noise, I would get some earplugs and pop those babies in, maybe have a couple extra pairs as well. And good luck. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them down below. Otherwise, you can visit us at versestexas.com.